Narrative is funded by viewers like you. Support our independent journalism at patreon.com/narrative. It's kind of nonsensical that we're going to put Vladimir Putin on the world stage in the summit where, 2 weeks after he's had another hack last night, this new announcement of yet another hack into our federal system after the previous hack, which was just like, a month ago, less than a month ago. And then SolarWinds was just 6 months ago. They're continuously hacking our systems. They've got us to some extent controlled by those hacks. We're not quite sure how deep they go. And then the pushing of international norms that Putin keeps doing, the remarkable and insane mid-air hijacking of a passenger plane to arrest somebody, to kidnap somebody they consider a dissident, but most of the world would consider a journalist, a 26-year-old, to be pulled off a plane with a fighter jet. This is them testing our willingness to go with them. So we can't accept these kind of constant tests of international norms because it's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. Now they'll start to, where else were they going to pull down planes from whenever they decide they want to capture somebody or arrest somebody? Does it matter if it's over Belarus or can it be just anywhere? And think about being in a passenger plane and a fighter jet flying up and forcing you down. Firstly, just how terrifying that is. But then for this guy who knows he's going to almost certainly to his death, certainly to many years imprisonment and definitely into torture, and he's powerless in this situation. And this is not someone who's actually living in the territory. And this is how expansive and easy and free Putin feels right now, because I don't think it's Lukashenko at all. I think at the end of the day, this comes down to Putin. And he just feels so free. And now we're going to go and reward him with a meeting on the world stage with Biden. I mean, maybe I'm misunderstanding how much they have on us right now and how important it is for us to go and talk to them. But maybe for sure Biden has this. He has a good sense of what's necessary and possible right now. But I don't see why we're appeasing him to this extent on the world stage. And after these events in the last couple of weeks, it's okay to say, hey, we're not going to meet with you. We're going to put it off until you've sorted out some of the issues that we're concerned about.
The whole thing is nuts. And we talked about this last week with the appeasement. Appeasement doesn't work. Any cursory knowledge of 20th century history shows this. They appeased Hitler, conquered, and kept going. They did not appease Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein stopped. There you have it. It's really, when you're dealing with homicidal madmen with megalomaniacal tendencies, that's the fucking deal. So Russia right now, the Russian Federation has been knocked back, and they want their empire back. The Soviet Union was an empire, an old school, continuous territory empire, not like the British Empire where they had colonies all over, but one where, as in the days of old, the conquering army came, invaded the next door neighbor, and took over. And that's what they did to Latvia and Lithuania and Estonia and Belarus and Georgia and Azerbaijan and Armenia and all the stands over there, Kazakh, Kyrgyz, Uzbek, Tajik, right? Those are all countries that deserve to exist, that were part of, under the yoke of this horrible Soviet empire. And this madman, Joseph Stalin, who killed more people ultimately than Hitler did, who was a crazy lunatic, horrible person. That's Putin's model. He likes Stalin. He's resurrecting this idea of that. The Russians are they don't fuck around. They let you know what they're doing. This isn't rocket science here.
And we know we can't trust them. Anyone who's tried to, every administration has tried to reset with the Russians. It's never worked. Claude, I'm going to get your thoughts on that in a second. I've got to take a commercial break. And then after this, we'll be back with more interesting conversation. Also, that Bob Levinson clip that LB has found for us, which is relevant to today's conversation. We'll be right back. Now that summer's almost here and COVID is almost gone, this may be a good time to get some things off your to-do list, like maybe getting life insurance. My mom is really good with finances, and she's always telling me, what about life insurance? It's so important. And I can tell you that Policy Genius is a great place to get life insurance because you can compare quotes from over a dozen top insurers all in one place. Why compare? You can save as much as 50% or more of life insurance by comparing those quotes, and you could save $1,300 or more per year on life insurance by using Policy Genius to compare those policies for you. The licensed experts at Policy Genius work for you, not the insurance companies, so you can trust them to help you navigate every step of the shopping and buying process. That kind of service has earned Policy Genius a 5-star rating across thousands of reviews on Trustpilot and Google. This is how it works. Getting started is really easy. First, you head to policygenius.com, and in minutes, you can work out how much life insurance coverage you need and compare personalized quotes to find your best price. When you're ready to apply, the Policy Genius team will handle all the paperwork and scheduling for you. Policy Genius never sells your information to other companies, and that means you don't have to worry about your privacy, and they don't add extra fees. Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com to get started right now. Policy Genius. When it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right. And we're back. Let's talk to Claude about what he thinks about Russia and the summit. What do you think? Should Joe be going there? And should we be having this dialogue with Russia in the way that they're planning to at the moment?
I think it's one thing to have a dialogue and whether this particular meeting with Putin should happen or not. But I think we should recognize the enemy that we have. And you, in some cases, may want to communicate with your enemy, but we have to recognize what Russia is under Vladimir Putin, what they're about. They had a great impact on the 2016 presidential election. They helped determine the winner. They're fully capable of continuing. It's not like they've stopped. You know, it's not like Russia interfered with our elections one time and they went away, and they're being held at bay. They're going to keep coming after us. They came after the oil distribution, the gas distribution a couple of weeks ago. They're coming after different parts of the infrastructure. We have to recognize Vladimir Putin as the enemy that he is. We have to go put the full arsenal of democracy. We have to go full Cold War on Russia. We have to contain them. We have to support his enemies. We have to support dissidents. We have to do 1,000 different creative things. We have to freeze his financial assets. We have to freeze the assets of anybody who ever met Vladimir Putin. We have to shut down the SWIFT banking to make the oligarchs pay. We're having a major thunderstorm here as well. I don't know if that impacts, but it's like,
how nice.
It's like huge.
It's okay. We can still hear. We can still see and hear you. So you're still there.
Yeah, I don't think that Vladimir Putin is sitting around scheming about how to get the stand grouping with Russia. I think it's more about the money that they steal in resources from the people of Russia, and it's about the power, and it's about
the money.
And I think we need to go after the power. We have to go after the money. And I don't think we've done nearly enough about going after his money, his sources of income.
That's right.
I think we need to make life a living hell for anybody who would do business with Vladimir Putin.
That's right.
I think that's
right.
Really important.
So this is my little game. We'll play this game with our audience now and with all of us. So here's my game. Okay. In terms of understanding Vladimir Putin and the underworld behind him, and that is still connected in all those, in what the Soviet Empire was. So here's the choice. Right hand, Vladimir Putin gets the Soviet Empire back and maybe even more. But he has to live and can only have a state salary of a state official. Yeah, maybe a couple $100,000 a year. That's it. That's all he gets. No, but he gets the whole empire. Or he gets something about the size of Rhode Island and he gets all the money that is getting blocked by sanctions or any kind of roadblocks that we put in the way from having these states having their own say and they not having to pay a tribute to him as a mob boss. Which one do you think he chooses? You think he wants a Soviet? You think he's that big of a Chekist?
No, he wants the money.
You think he wants the money? There you go.
But he likes the power.
So that's a mobster. But that's still a lot of power. Yeah. That's a mobster, not a Chekist.
Right.
There's a difference. And so if we treat him and approach him as the mobster that he is, as a mob boss that he is, there's a very different path of making things difficult, uncomfortable for this man and stripping him of his power. If we continue to treat him as if he's some genius KGB agent that just wants to restore the Soviet Empire and blah, 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 then it's in nation state issues. There's all kinds of, that becomes a more complex problem to try to corner this guy off and stop him.
It's not
so
just
I
him,
think
though. It is an entire system that
it's a system.
That is
But that system relies on the money. Claude is exactly right. You have to just take it. I don't even think it's sanctions. I think just, we know where their offshores are. Just fucking take the offshores. Take it.
I love the expression
fund the
full
infrastructure
Cold
with
War.
that.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely, you're absolutely both. Absolutely. We have not turned the tables yet. We're still busy being victims, and we've got to turn this around. We've got to go take the battle to them. And there's so many easy things to pick on. You look at this rest of this Belarusian journalist. I mean, it's so easy to gather global support around this thing.
We need to unleash an arsenal of democracy on their asses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. I love that whole full Cold War idea.
Inside Russia.
I like that.
Yeah. Inside Russia, inside Belarus. We need to tap into the sentiment that the Russian people inherently do have. I've met Russian people and stuff, and they don't like this guy. They don't want to live under his yoke. LB, just piggybacking on something you said about his supposed KGB super spy acumen. I was talking with my friend Moscow Never Sleeps, who is a Prevail occasional contributor.
Fabulous.
This week, because I wrote about Igor Sechin this week on Tuesday. So
that was good, by the way, Greg. I liked that.
Thank you. When Putin was posted by the KGB, they sent him to Dresden, which is like weak sauce, lame ass. Igor Sechin got sent to Africa, where the action was. That guy was doing stuff. Putin is a functionary. He's not like a...
Yuri Shivitz got like New York. I mean, you want New York, you want London. you want nice places.
Was
Dresden really that bad? I thought it was they hired all their Eastern German spies there. I don't know, somewhere along the line. I thought he might have been involved in the recruitment of these East German spies.
I don't think it was not important what he was doing, but it wasn't like this big creative mastermind thing.
Yeah.
He was sitting behind a desk doing his... And it's important to take the money. And going to what Claude was saying, the arsenal of democracy, we have the cyber shit too. We invented the fucking internet. We're letting these guys hack us? Fuck them. We have to have some better capability here. I would like to think we can go in and
we also invented the international banking system.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
They've got fucking Bitcoin.
It's true. It's true.
There it is. There it is. That's simple.
Yet we're not doing any of that. We're not doing any of that yet. We'll see what happens though.
Yeah.
Your old boss, Bill Clinton, would have said, this is a triangulation issue. You've got the Republican Party as a challenge. You've got Russia as a challenge. Can you triangulate those two and come up with a policy that takes care of both of them? Same one, really, maybe, just going after the banking system.
I think the banking system is key. I'm not sure what Bill would say about it.
Tell me about your time with Bill Clinton. I'm curious about. People don't necessarily know much about your history there, but
I got lucky, and it's a long story. I was supposed to go to work in 1992 for Senator Tom Harkin. In fact, I had an interview set up with Senator Tom Harkin at San Francisco International Airport, and he dropped out of the race the day that I was supposed to interview with him, and Bill Clinton was coming the next day, and his crew. And I ended up helping to run California in 92 for Bill Clinton. My point in that not well-told story was that if Tom Harkin had stayed in the race, I would have ended up working for him, and I never would have ended up as a lowly White House staffer under Bill Clinton.
That's it. Politics can be good.
So I spent a few years working in the White House back in the mid-'90s as a lowly White House staffer. And then I worked another year in the 96 campaign. And then I kind of got out for a long while. I was a donor. I did some fundraising, but I was largely out.
The world has changed so much since Bill Clinton was there.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
It's been a long time. Yeah, I was a young man.
It's been a long time.
I was 29 when I got to the White House.
Wow.
Could any of us have foreseen this? Could any of us have foreseen this when you're your 29-year-old self? There was never a moment in your brain probably then that we would be at this point in our history fighting this huge onslaught from the Russians. It seems impossible to me.
I'd worked as a teenager. I'd worked in the Carter Mondale campaign. I'd worked against Republicans a lot, and I always opposed them, but I never hated them, and it never occurred to me that they would actually betray the country. Mm-hmm. And that just has taken me, a long time to accept that. We have a Republican Party today that they're not just our opponents, but they are actually out to destroy our democracy.
Mm-hmm.
They actually would prefer that. They want to live. They want to live in a state where minorities don't really matter. And,
But they don't have to solve problems. Yeah. When you're in an authoritarian state, it's all transactional favors and your proximity to the ultimate power. So you don't have to think about the people, and you don't have to solve problems for the people. That's hard work. It's difficult.
I don't think a lot of them would really like living in an authoritarian state if they actually got to that point. If we actually got to that point. I
don't think so either. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
that they think, though, that they would have the favor. Like there's something on the other side of this eye of the needle that they're willing to go through, where there's a belief that there's a goodie there, right? That there's something that's worth it. I think it's beyond just, okay, we're owned and compromised and we have to do this. There is some reward.
They do believe they're fighting the liberals. They do believe this globalization thing is a nightmare. You don't think that's
I think that's a bunch of horseshit. I don't think half of those people believe it. Some of the really whack jobs do, but the majority of Republicans, I don't think they believe that. They don't believe that. This isn't. It's so far afield now. This isn't the 1970s and 80s and 60s where you have
they feel completely detached from power.
The anti-communism.
I believe.
What do you mean detached from power?
They don't feel like that the system works for them anymore. They feel like
with the vote, where the people are, they never went to ideas. Okay, so I'm going to give a little historical thing here. So I'll give this. I was just writing this the other day. So one of the characters from our shared history that is in the story that I'm writing now, the series that I'm writing now, is a woman named Eunice Carter. Okay. And Eunice she was a Republican. She was an African-American woman out of Harlem, out of New York, and was the daughter of activists, a very famous activist, actually, and had money. It was very much upper middle class and education. She was a lawyer, quite brilliant woman. And she ran as a Republican against the corrupt Democrats of Tammany Hall, because Tammany Hall was just a mob-owned, totally corrupt thing. And she didn't win, but it's astounding to me as I'm writing. And she did something extraordinary. I'm not going to spoil it. She did, you can look her up. She did something so freaking extraordinary. It just was lasted in the history books for much longer than it did. And people did know her name at the time. And then Pearl Harbor happened, and the whole world changed. But Eunice really embraced republicanism, and she really lived it. And here you have this incredible example historically of an African-American woman, brilliant, right? Leader in your own party. And Republicans of today could not figure out how to turn to their own history and pull up those examples of the kinds of policies and the kinds of even activism that would work to help bring more into their tent. They couldn't do that. They did their stupid autopsy, right, with the Obama era. And I don't know if this was in the autopsy, but they couldn't figure out that they actually used to be the big corruption fighters in the most corrupt cities in our nation, and won on that. And so it's like, what are you doing? Why have they not turned to their own goddamn history? Excuse my French, but why not do that? So they know that they're losing. They know that they've lost this obsession with the browning of America that they have had, and that they keep putting it. You have the Rush Limbaughs and the Alex Jones and all of these firebrand propagandists that just took a hold of the party, and the Laura Ingrams, all these white supremacists. And the officials themselves, they were so freaked out about their voters and about that audience, right, for that extremism, that they literally could not even pull people out of their own past, leaders from their own past, and provide that as an example and move the party forward in a way that would have actually had it grow and embrace and strengthen it. So I don't know. Are they dumb? Are they just white supremacists? Are they just craven? Are they criminals? Are they owned? I think at this point, it doesn't matter. They're anti-democratic. That's what they are. They're anti-democracy. And that's what they're an insurrectionist party now. They've turned their back on everything. and they've gone over the cliff. And they think there's something there waiting for them. And it's going to have to be our job, unless we want to lose our democracy, to stand up and say, no, there's nothing there waiting for you. You're headed for hell in a kerosene suit. And that's where you're going.
Maybe they really realized that they had lost the demographic war, and the only way they could win is by being autocrats.
Yep.
I think that
seems like it. They could have. There were other ways to win, is what I'm bringing up. They could have chosen other paths to win. It would have been longer. It would have been more difficult, but it would have worked. I do believe that, but that's not what that wasn't. The immediate was just to go full bore.
LB, not to push back here. Donald Trump made a really concerted effort to woo black voters, and he had a couple of guys with T-shirts that said "Blacks for Trump," and he said at incredible pitch, "Hey, vote for me. What have you got to lose?" I don't understand how you can.
This is where I pull the sweet grandma from New York in and say, "You let everybody hear what she has to say about that." Because I think we are in those stages of grief. We're to the wow. This is just really sad, and it's time to actually fight.
The thing, talking about the triangulation and the scenario that I'm worried about, I think, would be, this is what they should do if they were smart, which I'm not sure that they are. Smart and autocrats. Because right now, they're so tightly aligned, they're so closely aligned with Trump that everybody's still up in arms and hair on fire about it. At least enough people are that it seems to make some difference. Trump is going to get indicted, I believe. I think New York is going to indict him. If they're smart, the instant that happens, they got to cut bait with that guy and just be like, I can't believe him. And do the Claude Rains and Casablanca shock thing. Then they can continue undermining democracy while we're distracted.
If they're smart, I'm not sure that's really a brains sort of operation. I mean,
there's no brain trust.
That's what I'm hoping for.
There's no brain trust. Yeah. Oh, Zev, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry about that. I've been saying so many incredibly brilliant things. Yeah. But let me interrupt you guys a little bit, because let's be practical about this. We don't really have time for the grieving process you've been talking about, LB. At the end of the day, we've got to get our boats in order here, and we've got to get ready for the next election, which is just around the corner. Everyone's going to be starting now, really, to electioneer. So, Claude, we don't often get you here. We've never had you here before. What are the things people can do, like practically, when they've heard us talk a lot about this, but what can they do in their districts, in their states? What can they do to get to fight? And what should they be doing right now? Now that summer is almost here and COVID is almost gone, this may be a good time to get some things off your to-do list, like maybe getting life insurance. My mom is really good with finances, and she's always telling me, what about life insurance? It's so important. And I can tell you that Policy Genius is a great place to get life insurance, because you can compare quotes from over a dozen top insurers all in one place. Why compare? Well, you can save as much as 50% or more of life insurance by comparing those quotes, and you could save $1,300 or more per year on life insurance by using Policy Genius to compare those policies for you. The licensed experts at Policy Genius work for you, not the insurance companies, so you can trust them to help you navigate every step of the shopping and buying process. That kind of service has earned Policy Genius a 5-star rating across thousands of reviews on Trustpilot and Google. This is how it works. Getting started is really easy. First, you head to policygenius.com, and in minutes, you can work out how much life insurance coverage you need and compare personalized quotes to find your best price. When you're ready to apply, the Policy Genius team will handle all the paperwork and scheduling for you. Policy Genius never sells your information to other companies, and that means you don't have to worry about your privacy, and they don't add extra fees. Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com to get started right now. Policy Genius. When it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right. But what can they do in their districts, in their states? What can they do to get to fight? And what should they be doing right now?
Well, they should get on Twitter and send those tweets. But after you're done with your social media time, find out who is running for Congress in your district. Find a candidate that inspires you, and get involved. Get involved in your neighborhood. Get involved in your city, in your county, in your state, in your congressional district, working for a senator or a Democratic governor or a senator or a member of Congress, or a challenger. Find a campaign in this next cycle that inspires you and help them in any way you can. If we don't keep the House, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. And we're in serious danger of losing the House of Representatives.
And the state houses are a real concern. That's why they've got all these crazy laws now that those state houses can overturn elections. We have to at least put up a good battle in those state legislatures as well. So down the line, it's really important that people get involved, not just for the people who are going to be running for Congress.
Have to show up in big numbers. Got to show up.
What do you want to see people doing in the next year? What's your advice to people right now that they can use as practical?
So everybody just has to be informed. I think it's too early to really do anything with the vote. I don't know anything about that, really. That's not my bailiwick by any stretch of the imagination, but it looks to me like the way the timing is going to shake out, if we can figure out how to get around these obstacles in the Senate, it's still very early. Realistically, it's not even June yet. He hasn't been president for 6 months yet. Once we can figure this out, and maybe this means Schumer is not a wartime consigliere, and it's time for him to go and bring in Amy, please. She's doing the job anyway. Just give it to her, because he's not the right guy right now. He's not. Tom, he put him on a plane and send him to Vegas because the stuff's going to go down. Okay.
How does that happen, by the way? Let's just get practical about this. Say you wanted to make a move around who leads the Senate.
I don't.
Claude, do you know how that happens?
God knows.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
It doesn't happen then.
No.
It's not. Yeah, theoretically, it could happen after the next election, but it's not something that's going to happen in the immediate future.
Right.
So I wouldn't count on it or plan for it.
But I do think he can be pressured. I do think there's a couple of, I think he's an egomaniac, Schumer. And so
yes,
I think he cares very much how he's perceived. And there's not enough of a pressure campaign coming from all of us for him to snap out of it. We need the share slap gifts. Come on, guy. You're the majority leader. You don't just get to dance around because you have a plaque on your door now. You need to start being the majority leader. You've got these two rogue senators who are playing around and kvetching and loving that they're getting attention for whatever they're getting attention for. Bring those assholes in. Solidify your caucus. Get everybody on the same goddamn page. Excuse me.
It seems logical to me. It seems amazing that it's not happening. We have the Senate, at least the Democrats have the Senate, and it's not yet appearing like like they've got control.
He's got to step it up. Step up the game there, Schumer.
But to get back to your point, Zev, I think that Biden, at least as far as domestic policy is concerned, is doing very well. Mm-hmm. And I think that the timing of this is going to help us in the midterms. I think that right now we're on the verge of opening. People are starting to not wear masks, going to the supermarket, at least in New York where I live, and stuff like that. And by the time next year rolls around, people will remember this is a guy who got us out of this. They can spin it all they want, but the reality is Trump was president for that last year. Everything sucked. And then Biden was president, and now everything's great. So It's pretty basic. And somebody talking to a friend yesterday was saying Fox News did a poll, and 54% of the people watching Fox News have a favorable view of Biden.
Well, that's really good. That's really impressive.
So, he's hard not to like, I think, and the stuff he's delivering on stuff that's going to impact people's lives in meaningful, easy, quantifiable ways. You get money in the bank, you get vaccines in the arm, you get broadband in the crappy place where you live, and maybe you'll vote for him next time. Maybe you'll say, hey, this, I don't know, as fun as the racism was, maybe this is okay.
I don't know if anybody here has kids, but we're going to start getting checks for having had kids.
Is that true? I read that and I pinched myself, and I'm going to believe that.
I've gotten 0 checks. I don't know what the checks things is. The checks haven't happened for me.
You know what? I mean,
I want the checks.
I mean,
you're getting the checks.
I don't know. I'm fine. There's no reason.
I got 2 kids that I declare, and it was based on that, and I got like a big check, and
really,
I was shocked at how big my check was, and then it hardly even made the news. But the new program starts in July, and it's $250 for every kid, $350 for every kid up till 12, and then $250 from 12 to 16. So I'm getting like an extra $550 every month.
That's pretty amazing. That's a lot of money.
like in real money.
This is magical.
It's going to make a huge difference to people's lives. We got to go, but I want to just quickly show you, everyone, your backyard, which is spectacular. And I don't think you get paid for the deer in your backyard. Does the government give you checks for the deer at all?
Oh, no. The deer are a long story.
But they are. Listen to the noise in the backyard right now. Sound, I should say. What is that? What is that we're listening to over there?
Cicadas.
The once in 17-year invasion of cicadas.
Yes, billions of cicadas every 17 years. I remember 17 years ago, I swore to myself I would be out of the DC area when they returned.
When they came back.
And when they came back.
And here they are returning. You're still there. And you're still doing amazing work. Claude, thanks so much for joining us tonight on Narrative. It's been really a pleasure having you on. And everyone should go to maddogpack.com and make sure that Ted Cruz billboard happens. I'll put it up for everyone again. Here it is, Kremlin Cruz at maddogpack.com. Narrative is funded by viewers like you. Support our independent journalism at patreon.com/narrative.